Hello everybody, I'm Renzo MOC and welcome back to another Bionicle MOC review. Today we're taking a look at another gangster, Grimeshaw. Let's get right into it. Now Grimeshaw here is one of the most infamous criminals in the Spaceverse. He's about as dirty as they come, you know. He does about everything wrong under the Spaceverse moons. You know, he breaks all the rules. He's just a nasty guy in general. You would never want to hire him for a birthday party or anything like that. Now, strangely enough, the character's appearance was actually based off of Steve from Bottom, the little chameleon guy. I know, you're like, what? Hold on, excuse me? Well, the idea was that I wanted to make a chameleon that was more rugged looking. I wanted to make a more messed up version of Steve, so that kind of initial comparison came in, and even though they are downright completely different, it's just the basic inspiration. Obviously the characters are two completely different things. This was basically just like, this is a Spaceverse chameleon who's, you know, one of the most nastiest criminals, and then Steve is just a cute little dragon chameleon thing from friggin' Matanui, so big difference there. I've always wanted to use this head for mocking, always. I've always really appreciated this head. It just looks so evil and villainous, and of course it comes from the first wave of Hero Factory, so it ought to be evil and villainous, but I think it works so well here, and plus, it's really big too, so you really do get a lot of intimidation out of a bigger head. So this is a character I'm actually quite happy with his build. I don't think it's perfect or anything, but I think it's pretty good for what I was able to come up with. Obviously there's things I would like to fix here and there, but I'd say I did alright with what I had. Now, as I mentioned, this guy's whole basic theme was that of a chameleon, and also spikes. I really wanted to get the point across that this guy was incredibly spiky. So throughout the MOC, you got spikes layered everywhere. You know, you got a whole spikes on the front, spikes on the legs, he's got spiky feet, he's got this whole thorned back here, which I think I'm decently happy with it. It's not, again, it's really over the top. Obviously, that whole portion can just come off, but I needed something that was able to just look like a good back, because this regular back was not going to cut it. So I wanted to throw some stuff on there. Originally, it was a lot more, you know, outrageous. It had like actual like silver spikes hanging off, and that just looked ridiculous. So I wanted to, you know, take that back a little bit. So I decided that this would be just fine. While we're on the back, we got this tail here, which I'm not that big of a fan of. It's pretty lazy, but I don't know. I guess it's a tail. I didn't know what else to do, so I just, you know, spike, yeah, whatever. It's pretty bad. Now, as per usual, we're going to start from the legs and then go all the way up to the head. So feet are kind of weird. They're just like these heel sort of spike designs, and they're not the best for posability. They often, if they're not posed right, he will fall over. So they aren't that stable, but they do their job well enough, and I really wanted him to have spiked feet, because none of the other feet designs would really work. That means I gave him some black armor down there, some spikes on these Ben 10 leg pieces, which are really cool, and they help work with the color scheme, and then some green legs. And there are some trans neon green pieces on this guy, but it's very close to lime green that I don't think it really stands out too much. I think it's just, you know, it does the job. Obviously, I don't have lime green pieces. I don't have lime green Borak eyes. I don't have lime green bones. Unfortunately, not on this MOC. So it was a compromise I had to make. Now, originally I wanted to use a lime green lower waist piece, but I actually didn't have any left, so I just had to use the black one. And then, of course, the black Makuta torso from 2008, and then the big old Liwa Fantoka chest piece. I guess this was a Nika. So, yeah, we have the Nika chest piece, which I actually think it works pretty good. It doesn't sit on the body regularly. It actually goes past the shoulders, if you can see there. So I had to use this weird technique. You probably can't see because of the lights, but there's some Technic pieces holding onto that in there. It's a pretty strange connection. It's not one that I normally do, but again, I needed something to actually hold it in there. So the torso itself is pretty regular. And then going back again to the back, very spiky. It's all built onto that Avmatoran or whatever they're called. The little guys, you know what I'm talking about. The little men. Agori, the Agori. It's all built onto an Agori body, and you have all those spikes and stuff, and then the tail, which I don't think looks very good, and yeah, also spikes go onto the shoulders too, and yeah, that's the torso. The arms are pretty plain. There isn't really that much to talk about. You know, lime green, trans neon green, just basic bone with some fillers in there that are blue. Basic green hands. Originally he was going to have claw hands, but I actually preferred having the clawed feet, so I switched it to regular hands because I didn't really know what I wanted, but I figured that fists would be fine enough because he's a gangster dude. And then he's got some spikes to the side. I like these. These are basically sensor spikes, so that's why they're lime green. Because with the lime green spikes, he can actually detect danger and stuff like that. So these are sensors. So he's got a sensor on his arms and then a big old sensor for his horn on his head. Speaking of the head and just bringing it back again, I do really like this headpiece a lot. I don't know, it's just one of my favorite Hero Factory heads. There's so much personality in this thing. I like it a lot more than a ton of the other Hero Factory heads. It's just a cool looking alien head. That's why I dig it so much. Like Mr. Stone, he actually has a cigarette. This one is more of a common cigar. The other one looked more like a cigarette, I guess, but this one's brown. And the way it hangs in there, somebody actually asked me this, is that there's one of those little weird system parts with the little lightsaber rod at the end. So I'll easily detach. It's very simple to get that off. Here are the two pieces. They just easily clip in, and that holds it together. So it's a really simple connection. I'm going to keep that out of his head for now because there's not, let's just leave it like this. He's not always smoking like Mr. Stone. He actually, that's just a brief thing. He has this long neck, but he also has these weird blue things. And I don't really know what this is. I just figured it's some sort of like weird decorative headdress for him. It's just something that he wears because the blue is his clothes. So I've kind of figured out that the blue are like part of his like clothing and stuff like that. So I don't know, this is some weird like headdress that he wears. Like, I don't know if it's a religious thing. I don't know if it's because of his family. I have no idea. It's just something that he wears, It kind of hangs down his neck. It does hinder his articulation a bit, but it makes his neck look a lot cooler. It does look, without this, it kind of makes this whole area look a little gappy, so it's good to have something like that in there. And he does have big old green eyes, so that's cool. Again, normally we see this mask with orange eyes, so it's cool to see him with green eyes, I suppose. Lastly, for Grimeshaw, we have this big old gun. I don't know what this is. Again, I'm not a weapon expert. It looks kind of like a grenade launcher, but I know it's not a grenade launcher. It's just a big old gun. It moves a bit, which is weird because of the pieces that I used. It's very unnerving. I don't like how it moves. It freaks me out a little bit. But the gun is just supposed to be held like like that. So it's off-centered a little bit, which is kind of strange. But yeah, just put it in like that, and he uses it like that. I'd imagine it would be like a machine gun in the Space Force. I imagine it probably shoot pretty rapidly, because again, this guy's pretty ruthless, so I imagine he's like, "How's your mother?" And then he just, even though he sounds nothing like that. And then the yellow bit at the end. Originally, it was going to have yellow, like, swords or, like, yellow hook weapons, but I took those out because I figured the gun would just make more practical sense for a gangster instead of flailing around hooks or something like that. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. As I mentioned before, Grimeshaw is one of the slimiest gangsters around there because he's a lizard. You get it? He's slimy because he's a slimy little lizard. Hey, hee, hee, I'm funny. No, I like this guy. I don't think he's amazing or anything. It's just a mock I wanted to show you guys for a while. Obviously, he's going to appear in Renzo Season 2. Other than that, he's not that important of a character. I'm just showing him off because I don't have too many mocks to show off. At least not ones that I can show off without spoiling anything. This is one of the last mocks that I can actually show you guys without spoilers. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this review of Grimeshaw, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.